Picture this, you're hustling through a crowded European airport after a sleepless red-eye when you spot a stranger waving from across the terminal, someone who somehow recognizes you even though you're buried under a hoodie, sunglasses, and a face mask. Within minutes that random hello becomes a 3-hour layover conversation, within weeks it turns into candlelit rooftops, flash mob proposals, and a $100,000 halo diamond the size of a pebble. TikTok calls it fate. Instagram declares #couple goals. And self-love guru Wizard Liz, followed by 8 million fans for telling women never to accept bare minimum love, finally captions her posts "I'm living my dream." Fast forward barely 10 months. Liz is 4 months pregnant, lying awake at 3 a.m., watching leaked DMs in which her brand new husband, YouTube entrepreneur Landon Nickerson, swears he's definitely not married to a random Snapchat girl and labels his own wedding just an internet thing. He even spins a bonus lie, that the ring on his finger is for a video. The screenshots go viral in minutes. Support pours in for Liz, so do conspiracy theories that the whole relationship was engineered from day one. Meanwhile, Landon hops on camera, voice trembling, eyes glistening, asking the world not for forgiveness but for, get this, understanding. The internet collectively rolls its eyes and hits record. But here's the twist that turns a messy celebrity breakup into a psychological thriller. Evidence suggests Landon didn't simply stray. He may have spent 3 full years monitoring Liz's public stories, triangulating her travel plans, and calculating the exact moment to intercept her in Athens, like a coder tracing the last line of a script. Add lightning-fast love bombing, a pregnancy timed in the first 12 months, and an apology sprinkled with spiritual buzzwords, and you start to see a strategy, not a mistake. Tonight we're peeling back every single layer. The meet-cute that may have been anything but accidental. A love-bombing campaign so extravagant it eclipsed red flags waving in plain sight. Secret burner accounts and late-night Snapchats that shattered the fairy tale facade. The crocodile-tear confession that weaponized religion and remorse in the same breath. And Wizard Liz's ice-cold clapback, selling her 6-figure ring and donating the cash to single moms. We'll follow the digital breadcrumbs, decode the manipulation tactics, and ask the question everyone's whispering: was this tech was running code on Liz long before she ever knew his name, or did destiny simply take a dark detour? Grab your snacks, silence the group chat, and buckle up, because once you hear how deep this rabbit hole goes, you'll never look at whirlwind romances, or influencer-perfect couples, the same way again. Our story ignites with the bombshell DM leak that detonated Liz's dream life overnight. It happened in a single swipe. 1 second Liz was scrolling through puppy reels, the next she froze on screenshots so jaw-dropping they felt scripted. There was Landon, her brand new husband, future co-parent, and self-proclaimed forever partner, chatting up a stranger on Snapchat like a bachelor on spring break. The receipts were brutal. "Aren't you married?" the girl asked. "Nah, it's just a complicated internet thing," Landon replied, claiming the ring on his finger was merely a prop. He even dangled a meet-up. "Let's talk in person when I'm back in Dallas." For Liz, 4 months pregnant and still glowing from the whirlwind wedding, the words hit harder than any headline. Forget he slipped. This was a man creating burner accounts, rehearsing denial lines, and scheduling rendezvous while his wife decorated a nursery. Within hours the screenshots detonated across TikTok, Twitter, and every gossip subreddit alive. Hashtags exploded, #WizardLizDeservesBetter, #LyingLandon, #Snapchat scandal. Influencers dissected the DMs frame by frame, casual viewers canceled lunch plans just to keep up with the drama thread. And then came the video that poured gasoline on the fire. Landon sat alone, shaky voice, watery eyes, begging not for forgiveness, but for understanding. He framed his cheating as a moment of weakness, thanked God for clarity, and asserted, without irony, that he still loved Liz with his entire heart. The internet collectively gagged. Comment sections lit up with the same verdict: manipulation in 4K. Yet the most chilling line in the whole apology wasn't even about Liz. It was about timing. Landon admitted he'd messaged the other girl while Liz carried their child, proof that the betrayal wasn't ancient history, it was live, raw, happening in real time. By sunrise, Liz had wiped their wedding photos from her feed, deactivated comments, and posted a single statement: "Screenshots speak louder than promises." The fairy tale was officially ashes, and the world wanted to know, was this just reckless impulsiveness, or had Landon engineered the entire romance for clout all along? Long before the ring, the TikTok updates, or the 9-hour FaceTime calls that lulled Liz to sleep, Landon was already orbiting her timeline, quiet, constant, calculated. Go back 3 years and you'll find him in her comment sections, dropping the kind of niche references only a true binge watcher could catch. Every milestone Liz celebrated, 100K subs, 1M, her first sponsorship, there he was, sliding into her DMs with a perfectly timed "so proud of you" message. Friendly? Maybe. Strategic? Absolutely. Because while Liz chalked it up to a supportive follower, Landon was mapping her life like a coder tracking variables. He knew her filming schedule, the cafes she posted, even her favorite airport snack, double chocolate biscotti, thanks to a throwaway Instagram story. And when she mentioned a quick holiday stop in Athens, his own vacation plans shifted overnight. His friends later cancelled on Mykonos, he'd claim, yet somehow he ended up in the exact duty-free shop where Liz, disguised under layers, stood debating which cookies to buy. Coincidence? Or the final line of code executing perfectly? The instant eye contact felt like destiny to Liz, but to Landon it was more likely a mission accomplished. Within days he flooded her life with grand gestures, a sunset yacht ride, surprise flowers flown in from Holland, a 5-star suite stocked with her favorite dark roast pods. Classic love bombing, overwhelmed the target so completely that red flags fade to pastel. And it worked. Liz, the internet's queen of self-respect, found herself marveling at a man who seemed to read her mind. She didn't realize he'd been studying the syllabus for years. Fast engagement followed fast romance, a $100,000 ring sparkling under Santorini's golden hour, a viral proposal reel that racked up millions of views in hours. Skeptics muttered too fast, but Landon countered with lines tailor-made for Liz's brand, "When you know your worth, why wait?" The world swooned, Liz silenced her doubts. Only later would she admit in a tear-stained post, "I ignored the dreams, the gut nudges, because the fairy tale felt louder than the warnings." The romance moved at a speed that felt romantic from the outside, and suspiciously calculated in hindsight. From the first Athens coffee to the surprise Paris weekend a month later, Landon functioned like a walking wish-granting machine. Liz would casually mention craving authentic tiramisu, and boom, a courier arrived the next morning with a chilled box straight from Rome. She joked about never having seen the Northern Lights. He booked a midnight charter to Iceland before she could finish the sentence. Flowers weren't bouquets, they were botanical invasions, hundreds of white peonies carpeting her apartment so thick the air smelled like a perfume counter. Every grand gesture came wrapped in language tailored to Liz's brand of self-worth. "You deserve everything, real love doesn't stall, why settle for less than magic?" It felt empowering, until you noticed the fine print. Each gift carried a hidden timer. Expired chocolates? Tossed before Liz woke up, so she learned to devour what he offered on his schedule. New phone for better selfies together? Pre-installed with location sharing just in case. Even the $100,000 halo diamond wasn't a ring, it was a homing beacon that buzzed every time she took it off. Inside the whirlwind, red flags looked like rose petals. Friends voiced concerns, "It's too much, too soon." Liz brushed them off with a glowing smile and another anecdote about Landon's thoughtfulness. But beneath the glitter, the pattern was textbook: overwhelm, isolate, control. Move faster than questions. Replace her routines with theirs, really his. By the third month, Liz's calendar, playlists, even her morning smoothie recipe lived in a joint Google Doc managed by Landon. Love, but on his servers. Then came the pregnancy, announced on Instagram with pastel-toned ultrasound photos and promises of forever family. To the public it was pure joy, to skeptics it was the final padlock. Because right after Liz heard the heartbeat, Landon's charm flickered. The peonies dwindled to convenience store roses. Midnight phone checks became daily interrogations. And when Liz quietly asked for space, Landon countered with spiritual guilt trips: "Our bond is sacred, pulling away is fear talking." She second-guessed herself, reminding her audience that growth feels uncomfortable. Looking back, Liz would call that phase the quiet reprogramming. The lavish gestures were never about spoiling her, they were about rewriting her expectations so thoroughly that basic boundaries felt like betrayal. She was living in a palace, but every door required his key. The palace finally crumbled under a neon yellow ghost icon. Late one night Liz's phone pinged with a flurry of anonymous screenshots, time-stamped, location tagged, impossible to ignore. There was Landon, username masked by random numbers, sweet-talking a Dallas influencer he'd never met in person. The chat read like a bad rom-com gone rogue. "Girl, aren't you married?" Landon, "Nah, that's just a long-distance internet thing." "Girl, pretty sure I saw a ring." Landon, Prop for a video, swear. Let's chill when I'm back in town. He punctuated the lie with a winky face, then doubled down by calling his own fairy tale wedding not real. The piece de resistance? A selfie showing him barehanded, ring tucked safely in a pocket, proof that the deception wasn't accidental, it was staged and documented. Within minutes the mystery girl, let's call her Peyton, forwarded every receipt to Liz. Why? She'd scrolled Liz's feed, found the pregnancy announcement, and refused to be cast as the villain in someone else's tragedy. Her DM was short, "I think you deserve to know." Liz's stomach dropped. While she was pricing bassinets, Landon was pricing hotel suites. While she practiced prenatal yoga, he practiced pickup lines. And the most chilling detail? The burner account hadn't been created months ago. It was barely 2 weeks old, spun up the same night Landon returned from a business trip that Liz now suspects never involved business at all. Public reaction was volcanic. Commenters unearthed the account within hours, spotting identical punctuation quirks that matched Landon's public tweets. Digital detectives even traced the snap map ping back to the exact Dallas loft he shared with Liz's cats. Hashtag ghosted by ghost mode trended by sunrise. Yet for all the collective outrage, the real thunder rolled inside Liz's head. If he could fabricate an alias this fast, how many masks had she never seen? The hurt cut deeper than infidelity. It was the confirmation that every grand proclamation of forever could be rewritten with a single swipe. Hours after the screenshots detonated across social media, Landon reappeared, alone, eyes red, lighting set to confessional chic. The thumbnail showed him clasping a mug like a security blanket. The title read, "My Heart in Your Hands." Viewers clicked expecting contrition. What they got was a 17-minute masterclass in emotional sleight of hand. He opened with a shaky inhale, then the line every damage control coach teaches, "I'm not here to make excuses." 30 seconds later, the rationalizations flowed faster than the chat box. Childhood trauma, imposter syndrome, the pressure of sudden fame. He peppered in spiritual buzzwords, alignment, higher path, divine lesson, as if the universe itself had co-signed his late-night Snapchats. Most telling was his choice of pronouns. When describing the affair, it was a lapse, a moment of weakness, something that happened. Responsibility dissolved into passive fog. But when professing love, the language sharpened. "I love Liz with every cell, I have given her my entire soul, I will fight for my family." Translation? Center the romance, shrink the wrongdoing. Then came the tears, thick, camera-ready droplets that arrived on cue whenever the live chat flooded with broken heart emojis. He dabbed them away, whispered thank you for holding space, and segued into a sermon on forgiveness. "Not her forgiveness, I'm just asking for understanding." A subtle pivot that shifted the burden from perpetrator to audience. If you don't empathize, you're part of the problem. The apology climaxed with an on-screen prayer. Head bowed, palms together, he asked a higher power to grant Liz clarity to see my true intentions. Commenters lost it. One wrote, "Sir, God has Wi-Fi." He saw the DMs. Another dubbed him CEO of manipulation, a nickname that trended for 3 straight days. Analytics told the story better than words. Watch time cratered after the 6-minute mark, dislikes outpaced likes 5-1. Yet Landon ended the stream smiling softly, as if the mere act of vulnerability earned absolution. Minutes later he reposted the link to his Instagram story with a white heart emoji, proof, critics said, that the video's real audience wasn't Liz but his own brand metrics. Liz, meanwhile, stayed silent, publicly. Privately she was cataloging facts, lining up timelines, bracing for the next revelation. Because crocodile tears can blur a lens, but they don't erase metadata. And that metadata was about to expose a pattern far more chilling than a fling, a digital breadcrumb trail suggesting Landon had scripted their entire chance encounter from behind a stack of code. Long before the cheating receipts, eagle-eyed fans sensed something off about that random airport meet-cute in Athens. Liz was incognito, hoodie, mask, sunglasses, tucked behind a duty-free cookie display, yet Landon zeroed in on her like facial recognition software with a crush. He claimed his friends had ditched the Mykonos plan, leaving him to wander the terminal alone. Convenient. Comment sleuths later matched his flight history to Liz's Instagram stories and found that his original itinerary didn't include Greece at all until the day she posted her location pin. It didn't stop there. Over the previous 3 years, Landon's likes landed on Liz's posts within minutes of upload, no matter the time zone. He dropped hyper-specific compliments: "That Santorini sunset on your right side is unreal," that revealed he'd watched every frame of her vlogs. A few Reddit detectives even noticed he mirrored her Spotify activity, adding the exact deep-cut tracks she streamed during late-night editing sessions. Coincidence? Maybe. Obsession? The pattern said otherwise. And remember the $100,000 engagement ring? A jeweler in Dallas leaked that Landon ordered it 3 weeks before the Athens encounter, custom band, exact stone cut Liz once praised in a YouTube Q&A she posted years earlier. Translation: the proposal was penciled in long before the first official date. For many viewers, that detail sealed the verdict. This wasn't fate but a step-by-step script written in code. Liz's followers now wondered if every romantic gesture, from surprise flights to chance street camera cameos, had been orchestrated by a man treating her life like an alternate reality game he alone controlled. It reframed the cheating scandal into something darker, a calculated campaign to capture not just Liz's heart, but her entire narrative. If love bombing was the hook, parenthood became the handcuff. From month one, Landon spoke about babies the way most people talk about weekend brunch: casual, constant, oddly rehearsed. In early voice notes he gushed about tiny shoes next to ours, first-grade science fairs, and that fantasy dinner table where he and Liz would sit as 80-year-olds surveying a dynasty they built together. Charming? Sure. But experts on narcissistic romance will tell you, when a partner pushes for forever before you've even memorized each other's coffee order, they aren't planning a life, they're securing leverage. The timeline backs it up. Ring in month 3, pregnancy test in month 5, public announcement in month 6. Friends who raised eyebrows were met with Landon's favorite line: "When you know, why wait?" Yet those same friends noticed he skipped every prenatal class Liz scheduled, citing founder emergencies, and treated ultrasound appointments like optional Zoom calls. For a man obsessed with family, he sure delegated the groundwork. Meanwhile, Liz, still basking in the glow of a storybook engagement, rationalized every contradiction. When Landon's mood whipped from doting to distant, she blamed jet lag. When he forgot doctor visits, she told herself tech launches were stressful. But in quiet moments she felt the squeeze. Her content calendar morphed into pregnancy updates, brand deals pivoted to baby sponsors, and followers who once flocked for confidence tips now demanded nursery tours. Landon hadn't just entered her world, he'd recentered it around a role that tethered her to him indefinitely. Only after the Snapchat scandal blew did the puzzle click. Those lavish gestures had hidden a single motive: permanence. A child, after all, outlasts wedding hashtags and deletes buttons. By courting Liz's audience with forever family rhetoric, Landon bought goodwill in advance, insurance for the day his halo slipped. Because who leaves the father of her unborn child over one mistake? That's the silent script manipulators bank on. The plan might have worked, if Liz hadn't trusted her intuition at the 11th hour. Once the DM surfaced, she replayed every neon-bright memory through a new lens and saw the control woven into each sweet surprise: the shared calendars, the location pings, the guilt-laced bedtime calls. What felt like devotion now read like data capture. And the pregnancy? A strategic moat designed to keep her from walking away. But here's the plot twist no algorithm predicted: Liz refused to play the trapped heroine. Instead of doubling down on denial, she cut the narrative off at the source and reached for the steering wheel. Silence can be louder than any live stream, and Liz weaponized it like a pro. While tabloids begged for a tear-soaked interview, she stayed off camera, gathering timestamps, bank logs, and every last "I love you" voice note that now sounded like a rehearsed line. 48 hours after Landon's apology, she resurfaced with a single, minimalist reel: a white background, the word receipts blinking like a heartbeat monitor. Swipe after swipe, she laid out the evidence: Snapchat usernames, duplicate location pings, jewelry store invoices dated weeks before the so-called miracle meet-cute. No voiceover, no commentary, just cold, chronological facts that shredded every talking point Landon had floated in his confessional. Viewers called it the PowerPoint of doom. Then came the statement, typed in her trademark serif font, posted to 11 million followers, and pinned across platforms. Self-love isn't a slogan, it's a boundary. I refuse to preach what I won't practice. So I choose myself, my baby, and a future built on truth. No mentions of divorce lawyers, no plea for sympathy. Instead, she announced she was auctioning the $100,000 Halo diamond, the very ring that once symbolized forever, and donating every cent to a non-profit that supports single mothers finishing college. In one stroke, she converted a trophy of manipulation into a lifeline for women who'd never met her. The gesture went viral, #RingToRescue racked up 60 million views in a day, and jewelers flooded her DMs offering to up the bid. But Liz wasn't done. She quietly hired a cyberforensics team to scrub every joint asset of tracking software, changed all two-factor auth codes, and revealed in a podcast cameo that she trademarked Wizard Liz years earlier, locking Landon out of any revenue tied to her name. It was chess, not checkers, executed with the poise of a CEO in heels. The internet watched in awe as she flipped heartbreak into a masterclass on reclamation, turning screenshots into shields, pain into policy. Her final move? A midnight TikTok filmed in cozy lamplight, cat purring in her lap. No dramatic music, just her and the camera. She looked straight into the lens and said, "If someone shows you a fantasy, ask who's directing. If the script isn't yours, walk off the set." 30 seconds, one mic drop, fade to black. Comments exploded with women sharing their own escape stories. Therapists stitched the clip to explain trauma bonds. Even finance channels praised her for liquidating liabilities. Liz had rewritten the heroine archetype. No public meltdown, no retaliation rant, just strategic exits, ironclad boundaries, and receipts presented like art. She didn't burn bridges. She built a firewall. And the shockwave was felt most by the man still clinging to the illusion of a perfect love story. If Liz's silence sounded like thunder, Landon's feed was a rainstorm of mixed signals, self-pity 1 minute, nostalgia the next. Hours after her reel hit 10 million views, he posted a softly filtered throwback of their Santorini engagement, captioned "Love never quits, it only evolves." The comments section erupted, half pleading let her heal, half accusing him of emotional hostage-taking. Landon double-tapped every "you two are soulmates" reply as if he could resurrect trust. When that didn't land, he pivoted to spiritual pontification, carousel posts of sunrise yoga with captions about surrender and shadow work, carefully tagging mindfulness influencers while ignoring every question about burner accounts. Followers weren't fooled. Engagement nosedived, analytics sites logged a 37% dip in positives and a spike in clown face emojis he couldn't hide, even with comment filters on Max. But the real brand implosion started on LinkedIn. Investors in his AI startup, once dazzled by the visionary founder, quietly untagged him from press releases. One VC partner subtweeted, "Character is due diligence you can't outsource." Screenshots of the post circled Twitter, and potential clients began pausing data-sharing deals, because if a CEO could spin fiction in his personal life, what stopped him from smoothing over server vulnerabilities? Landon tried rebrand mode, replacing his profile pic with a minimalist company logo, yet every self-congratulatory article he shared drew snarky replies. Did the algorithm ask for understanding too? Meanwhile, the follower bleed continued. A social blade tracker showed 120k unfollows in a single week. Fan pages turned into cautionary tale memes. Instead of stepping back, Landon doubled down, liking comments that called Liz his first love, reposting fan art of the couple, and dropping cryptic stories about divine timing. Each move screamed detachment from reality, painting him as a man convinced he could edit public perception the way he edits code. From the outside, it looked like a slow-motion collapse, reputation, partnerships, and the carefully crafted perfect husband persona all crumbling while he filmed sunrise montages no one wanted to watch. And the more he clung to the bygone fairy tale, the clearer it became. The audience had moved on, Liz had leveled up, and the only person still living in that scripted romance was the guy who wrote it. Fairy tales usually end with a kiss and a fade to black. Real life doesn't grant such convenient credits, especially not on the internet, where every screenshot lives forever and algorithms remember longer than broken hearts. Landon's rise and crumble isn't just celebrity gossip, it's a crash course in how modern manipulation hides behind perfect lighting and couple goals captions. Because here's the blunt truth: love bombing is not love. When affection arrives prepackaged with urgency and a timeline you didn't choose, stop scrolling the highlight reel and read the fine print. Data is leverage. Landon harvested Liz's digital breadcrumbs, locations, playlists, casual Q&As, then weaponized them to appear soul-matched. In 2025, anyone with Wi-Fi can imitate serendipity. Discernment is the only firewall. Pregnancy, rings, and public promises are not proof of character. Commitment isn't a prop you unveil on Instagram Live, it's what you do when no one's refreshing your stories at 2 a.m. Receipts beat rhetoric. Liz didn't win sympathy with sobs, she won credibility with evidence. In a world of cinematic apologies, facts still hit the hardest. So what now? If you're tempted to treat this as popcorn drama, pause. Ask yourself, what filters am I ignoring in my own feed? Whose spontaneous DM feels a little too custom-made? Most of us won't face a $100,000 ring plot twist, but digital puppeteering scales down frighteningly well. The lesson isn't to retreat into paranoia, it's to upgrade your boundaries as relentlessly as tech upgrades its algorithms. And for those who've already walked Liz's path, love-bombed, gaslit, cornered, the takeaway is louder. Survival isn't enough, you can pivot the narrative in your favor. Sell the ring, monetize the heartbreak, donate the proceeds, trademark your name, whatever reclaims power from the person who tried to script you. Healing is disruptive, let it be. As we close, the question that lingers isn't will Liz forgive him? It's will we learn? Social feeds have turned private lives into bingeable seasons, but viewer counts can't measure the cost of ignoring red flags. Drop your thoughts below. Was Landon a tech-savvy stalker or just another ego drunk on influencer fame? And next time your timeline serves an envy-inducing love story, remember the Wizard Liz rule: if the script isn't yours, walk off the set. Thanks for watching, now hit that subscribe for more untangled truths, and, as always, keep your screenshots ready.